In the late 1990s, one yoga master left his native land to teach the authentic lineage of Indian and Tibetan Tantric yoga in a small holy town in the Indian Himalayas. Slowly, word spread from one seeker to another that this teacher, Swami Vivekananda Saraswati, had brought genuine yoga teachings to Rishikesh, India, widely considered the yoga capital of the world. This was a yoga tradition unmingled with Hindu mysticism or New Age fantasy. These were pure teachings with a goal that was nothing short of enlightenment for each student. What is Agama Yoga?
Agama Yoga is a more meditative style of yoga. It is a style of yoga in which we long to feel the energies of the human body and the energies of nature and of the environment. Does not emphasize just on one single aspect of the human being, but on all of them in a harmonious development. And in this way, in Agama Yoga, the development which results for the human being is not just a physical development, it's an energy development, it's an emotional development, it's a mental development, and finally it is a spiritual development as well. Chakras are ultimately like the points in acupuncture. They are energy points in the human grid of energy, in the human system, only that the chakras are essential points of energy. There exist more than 1,000 points in classical Chinese acupuncture, but there exist only 7 chakras. That is because the chakras are like the main nodes of the energy network of the being. That is why the chakras are the most important points of energy to feel, to awaken, and to control. And with the help of the chakras, we can control health. With the help of the chakras, we can control psychology and emotions. With the help of the chakras, we can deal with the mind and the spiritual aspects. And that is why the chakras are considered to be an extremely lucid instrument of work in the yoga of energy.
Viewed from outside, students begin by practicing asanas and pranayama from classical yoga. But on the inside track, these practices are less a training for the body than for the awareness, the sensitivity, the amplification, and control of subtle invisible energies. The Agama courses, therefore, are more about energy development than physical exercise, although considerable physical and health results can be expected in parallel.
My friend and I came here for a holiday and we took a yoga class just for the heck of it, and 6 months later, I'm still here. I'm totally hooked on the school. The teachings are amazing. The depth you won't find anywhere else in the world.
What is extremely special and exclusive for me in Agama is the work, the deep knowledge that there is concerning the chakra. I have seen in myself and in other students, in other practitioners, the way in which you can discover your personality. For instance, you put energy in a certain chakra and you discover all the range of the emotion related to that level of consciousness.
Doing this kind of yoga opened a new realm of possibilities for me, because it was like all this world of energies and working with the chakras and spirituality. Suddenly you can work on your body, but you also work on your mind, and you also work on your emotion, and you can do some asanas for a while, and then you can change your point of view on things. And that was really amazing for me, because for me yoga was something for the body. Maybe a little bit some breathing, some relaxing, but not so deep, not so spiritual.
This is my fourth time with Agama. I've come in the spring each year for the last few years. And I'm very grateful for the fact that Swami has structured the course in such a way that each year I can come out and do a couple of months and then advance a couple of months the next year and progress to the more advanced levels of the school.
The most impressive thing I found about this school was actually Swami, our teacher, the head of the school. From the very first weeks that I was in the teacher training course, I was so impressed with his breadth of knowledge, his depth of knowledge on so many different topics. And he's also got a really good sense of humor, the way he keeps our attention.
Swami is very inspirational. I remember in the first lecture of my first month, his talk was very motivating, and I had a real sense of excitement about it and passion. And I can say it's the driving force and the reason why I'm still here 3 months later.
He's compelling, his energy, his presence, and it's quite obvious that he has had all these experiences that he's teaching us about, that he's sharing with us, and he has passion about what he's trying, the message he's trying to deliver.
Swami Vivekananda, the founder and director of Agama Yoga, created a 5-year university-level curriculum for this ancient and secret path of true integral yoga. In the opening days of the Agama course, otherwise known as the first month intensive, he invites students to reflect on their lives, their aspirations, to answer for themselves fundamental questions such as, why are you here now on this planet? What is the meaning of your life? Swami Vivekananda designed this very intensive month-long experience to sweep people off their feet and into a revolutionary spiritual adventure. With a retreat-like atmosphere providing up to 6 hours daily of yoga practice and instruction, students experience the intense effects of purification, changes in the body, transformation in the mind, harmonization of the emotions, healing which is at times remarkable.
When I started yoga, I had a major side problem. I even took cortisone for more than 10 years. And when I came across the teaching about the yoga of sight, I decided to give it a try. And it worked very well. And within a few months, I managed to heal my sight. Even my doctor was amazed by these results. But I couldn't tell him that I healed myself through yoga. I think he will not believe me.
A sample of topics from the first month course includes an overview of yoga and its principles, discussion of the polarity of energy, Kriya Yoga and purification, issues of diet, macrobiotics and alternative healing, the ethics and morality of yoga, initiation into Laya Yoga, the 5 bodies of man, music meditation, the yoga of conscious sleep, and the sublimation and transmutation of the sexual energy. The course is a very thorough beginning to an extensive system of self-development for body, mind and spirit. It gives participants hands-on experiences, a taste of what can be acquired through yoga and how to access it.
People often change dramatically when they come to yoga. You can even see the difference within a few weeks. Like I've been working with the first month's people for quite a while now. And when you see them the first day and you see them at the end of the first month, you can really notice the difference. Their eyes are shining, their faces are relaxed, they look really happy, and that's beautiful to see.
For many students, these first days with Agama mark the beginning of their conscious quest for spiritual evolution, the beginning of a lifelong commitment to self-discovery, the beginning of their own participation in the great experiment of yoga.
Agama Yoga stands out to me as special, even unique, because it's really trying to go beyond what we traditionally think of as yoga. It's not content anymore to just say, oh, you do this physical posture, this breath work with this energy or this chakra. It's reaching past that, out into the world, to see what else is out there that can make yoga grow and evolve. We're taking things from Chinese medicine and energy work to Japanese macrobiotics, modern Western theories of alternative medicine, healing, psychotherapy, NLP, and this is what compels me to dedicate my practice with Agama.
Swami Vivekananda Saraswati has revived a yoga system for the 21st century practitioner that is eminently practical, intelligent and necessary in our times. Agama answers to all those who aspire to discover the divine spark that lies inside each and every one of us, and to find eternal happiness, harmony and wisdom. We welcome you to join us at any of our centres or to synchronise with our specialised teachings around the world each year. More information about our teaching centres and tours can be found at www.agamayoga.com.
My first point is that since death is inevitable, it's incredible that we know so few things about death. Not only about how to die, which is the real art of dying, which is the real point, which is the real thing, which I hope, it's the minimal thing I hope, which you will learn during this workshop, and I hope you will manage to practice the practices which I will teach you for that, so that it can become a practical thing for you. But not only that death, as I so often describe in the yoga course lectures, death is inevitable. That death is the only inevitable and the only certain thing in this life. And we always prepare for what we will do when we will take our medical license and become doctors, although we never know if we'll make it to become medical doctors, because we might die meanwhile. But death, which is a sure thing, more sure than that we'll become medical doctors, or that we'll be rich, or that we'll manage to build ourselves a house in Spain, or whatever else we want to do. Nevertheless, exactly death, which is the only certain thing, we don't prepare for it. We postpone it, we don't talk about it, it's a disturbing subject, it is a taboo, and we always say, oh, when I'll have a house in Spain, I will grow magnolias. But we might never get a house in Spain. Nobody says, when I will be dying, I will do this, or when I will die, I will take care of that. Nobody prepares for that, although that's definitely more certain than your house with magnolias in Spain, or your medical degree, or whatever other things you are going to do. I'm saying all these things because a knowledge of death is first of all indispensable. Know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. This is a teaching which is very, very important, as you are going to realize very soon. It is of very great significance in spiritual development, and actually it is a teaching which should be universal. I'm going to tell you first of all some of the motivations which I personally had and which we in the school have for teaching this kind of teaching, and then afterwards we are going to enter directly into the topics. First of all, one of the major purposes of this workshop is to create an understanding of death. One of the biggest issues is that we human beings, we don't understand what death is. We may have some theoretical knowledge, but most often this theoretical knowledge is not enough, and it creates in us human beings, first of all, a reaction of fear. Death is always mysterious, dark, fearful, And because of this, there has been a great wise who said that it is our fear of death which makes us even more mortal. Our mortality is enhanced by the fact that we live in the fear of death. The Yoga Sutra of Patanjali describes fear of death as one of the main poisons of the mind, as one of the main limitations of the human being, which conditions our actions from the subconscious mind and makes us do wrong things. Because of fear of death, we are not selfless, we are not brave, we are not generous, we are not looking constructively upon a lot of things, and because of this, actually, we are impure. That is why the first thing is to truly understand what death is, objectively, scientifically, metaphysically, spiritually. And this understanding, we in yoga, we don't try to have this understanding at a purely theoretical level. Like, let's have an intellectual understanding. Yes, even that helps, because our mind produces resonance through its orientation, but the meaning of it is actually deeper. We are trying to give you an experiential understanding, and that is possible up till a certain point, as you are going to see. I would like that this workshop also should produce in all of you who will attend it a creation of resolve. I hope that it will create the necessary resolve so that at least you shall die right. I hope that if I will make you understand what is at stake, at least you will take the decision that as much as it is in your power, and I have to say that much is in your power, that you should take the decision and have the resolve to die right. The first thing which is necessary is, first of all, to be determined about this thing. Most people say, hey, yeah, well, I'll die when I'll die. When I'll die, just dump me on a pile of garbage, and that's it. You know, what does it matter? I'm dead anyhow. That is the materialistic feeling of today. People die, and they are of no use to us. They are just a liability. They are just pain. When I will die, what else can you do? Nothing you can do. It's over. When you have died, you have died. It's not over at all, say the yogis of India and Tibet, as well as the great spiritualists of mankind. It's not over at all, and you can do a lot, and you can also help a lot. That is why I hope that when I will finish this workshop, you will be fanatically resolved that at least you shall do something about your death. Remember, it is, after all, illogical that we help children that are being born, and we ascribe midwives and all kind of medical care, but we do not help people that are dying. A person that is dying requires at least as much help as a person that is being born. And yet, because of our materialistic limitation, like we cannot see anything beyond death, and then it sounds like it's useless, and as well because of our fear of death and trying to avoid the subject, and because our own mind keeps us away from this issue of death, we actually fail to do a very important thing. We fail to help the dying, the dead and dying. And therefore, this would be a very important aspect of life. The first, the lowest of them, is the physical body, the tip of the iceberg, the most gross part of the physical structure. Then immediately after that we have the etheric body, the pranamaya kosha, as it is called in yoga, the life force body. Beyond that there is the astral body, the body of our emotions, which corresponds to the astral world. Above that we're having the mental body, and so on and so forth. Basically, in an objective approach through the yogic understanding, we are having the following thing. In the moment of death, your physical body starts going away. So the physical body is disposed of, and it will disappear after a longer or shorter period of time. According to the metaphysical sciences, in the process of death, the third body and the ones above it they usually survive. And that simply says the process of death will have only indirect effects, consequence effects upon your astral mental body and the higher structures of your being. But everything which is happening in the process of death is mostly about the physical body and the etheric body. Now, coming back to our story. Therefore, the biggest problem is how to manage those 49 days in Bardo, how to make the entrance in Bardo, the stay in Bardo, and the transfer through the Bardo as easy as possible. When you solve sexual problems of the men and of the women, and sexuality becomes wonderful, generally the quality of your life becomes wonderful. Wouldn't you want to have amazing sex? All of you in this room, I presume, contemplate that you are going to have sex in the next 5 years. If I'm asking you what's your plan for the next 5 years, sex will be there. I don't think any one of you here plans to be celibate in the next 5 years. It happens now and then. And then I'm saying, if you know that you are going to have sex in the next 5 years, then why not awesome? Why not smashing? Why not really good? Because when you go for food, you go for the most delicious food that you can find. You eat what you like. You try to eat healthy. You try to eat this. You try to eat that. If you take so much care about what you eat and you try to make your food as good as possible, then why wouldn't you try to make your sex as good as possible? It's part of the joy of life. And this is exactly what Tantra says. Tantra says your sexual life can be smashing. Don't put up with mediocrity. Don't shrug your shoulders and say, oh, what can be done? Something can be done, and Tantra has solutions for almost everything you confront in the sexual realm. Every time when a man and a woman orgasm, they are about to enter into a mystical state. They are about to enter in spiritual ecstasy. The spiritual ecstasy is like an orgasm multiplied a lot. That's why Rajneesh in India called the samadhi, the state of samadhi, a cosmic orgasm. Like an orgasm blown to a cosmic dimension, multiplied 1,000-fold. Every man and every woman who orgasm are skimming on the surface of ecstasy. That's the ecstasy of Milarepa and of Buddha, of Ramakrishna and of Mahanandamayi. It's there. Every time when you orgasm, your Sahasrara opens and you are ready to go into it. But you don't know. You never go there. There are two problems with the orgasm then. Like everybody has the chance to go there, but there are two problems. One of the problems is that the orgasm is wasting the ojas, so we pay for that little pleasure. We pay a lot. And the second thing is that we can't make it last. Because if an orgasm is lasting 20-30 seconds, what meditation can you do in 20-30 seconds? None. Therefore, what if the orgasm could last for 30 minutes? Then you probably think it's a metaphor, don't you? You probably don't think that an orgasm can last for 30 minutes, but it can, actually. And if the orgasm would last for 30 minutes, in the beginning you feel that you are going to die. You babble, you scream, you sweat, you faint, you bite the pillow. You do all the crazy thing which you usually do. But after 5 minutes, when it still goes on and on, something in your mind is going to scream, my God, this thing doesn't stop anymore. It's like I'm going to lose my mind. It's like it's too much. And in the middle of that extraordinary experience, something is going to remember, didn't this orange guy said that I should focus in Sahasrara? Ooh, in the middle of this I start putting my attention and my energy here. And then, welcome to the club. You start meditating into orgasm. That's what advanced Tantra is. Why do the yogis tell you what to do with your sex? Why don't we just teach you yoga? And whatever you do about your sexual life, who cares? Go home and do it, or don't do it, or whatever. I'm teaching you how to stand on your head and how to move your energies through your body. Whatever you do about sex, it's your problem after all. Why do the yogis get in your bed? Why do they tell you what to do with your sexuality and with the sexual energy? There are two facts. One, the sexual energy is not a cheap, unworthy, insignificant little thing down there, but on the contrary, it is a very, very important energy. It is the key energy of the human being, and it is a fundamental energy in the following directions: health and longevity, vitality and inner energy, emotions and tonus of emotions, intensity of our affective emotions, mind, creativity and originality, and finally spirituality and transcendence. And the second and last statement, initial statement, is this: not only that the sexual energy is super valuable, but also it is limited in amount. Your body is programmed by Mother Nature to produce this much sexual energy during a lifetime. That's again conditioned by ojas. The yogis say the ojas is limited. Every baby is born with a full battery full of ojas. When that ojas runs down, you die. This is where we start from. This is why the yogis came up with brahmacharya. There is a problem, and that problem is that you may not spend too much sexual energy for your own good, and I hope you understood where it is. Well, what is the solution? There are two solutions illustrated by those two arrows. This is the problem. And you are going to see this kind of pattern with two arrows, which shows you it's a general pattern that generally to any problem there are two solutions. A straightforward, primitive one, and the sophisticated, knowledgeable one. If somebody pushes you, what else can you do? You can either step aside and then they go and fall on their nose, so simply avoid and let the person use their own force and destroy themselves through their own force. If somebody is pushing me and I am a student in Aikido or Judo or Jujutsu, if you push me, you are doomed because I seem to go, so you feel like it's going, and then suddenly you fly over my shoulder. But this cannot be done simply. I have had to study Jujutsu or Aikido for 5 years before I am able to do it really well. And that simply says, while the first one is primitive and everybody can do it, it's just a matter of stubbornness and willpower. The second one is a matter of know-how. It's a very sophisticated method. Not everybody can push back, but not everybody can do the Aikido type of stuff. That's sophisticated. The same with sex. Swami Vivekananda, and welcome. This is a very, very special workshop in this school. This workshop is going to be a lot of action, so we'll be moving a lot. The man who taught me this chiropractic learned it in a city which today is a part of Turkey, on the European part of Turkey. In that time it was a part of Greece, in the days when this teaching was taken, and according to his witness, the textbooks which were used for some of these treatments were sometimes coming as far as from Armenia and Syria. So it's a Middle Eastern method of treatment to a large extent, which again was existing on the eastern outskirts of Europe. Therefore, this method, unfortunately, does not have any known textbook. Is a method which is, to the best of my knowledge, lost. This is not typically the kind of chiropractic which you learn in the Chiropractic Institute of Canada or of England, or which other of those types are. It doesn't say it is worse or weaker. On the contrary, I have spoken with chiropractors practicing in the West. I have seen their methodology and I have seen them practicing, and their methods seem to be extremely weak compared to this form of chiropractic, which is very bold, which is very, very powerful. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my own personal history and the history of my teacher, so you understand what I have seen and what I have witnessed through this method. This mysterious Father Eleftherios was born somewhere before the turn of the century. He was born around the year 1900, and he started being trained in this medical science around the age of 12 or 13. He went into this medical institute for the full education sent by his parents to become a doctor. This form of medicine is not acknowledged today because it has disappeared. In 1917, he had been promoted, he had been licensed as a doctor. I met him in 1987, which means that he had practiced this medical science, not trained, practiced it for 70 years. His experience was absolutely gigantic. I have seldom seen a person to understand the human body so well. Moreover, the advantage the additional advantage was this old monk was a very spiritual person. He was very pure. He was very powerful. He had a great belief. He was very strong in his belief. And on top of everything else, he was born in the astrological sign of the Sagittarius, which gave him a very good Manipura. In yoga, Manipura is known as being the key chakra for understanding the human body. That is why those of you who have a strong Manipura or who will work on Manipura will be better than the others at this method. Those of you who have no Manipura, and I hope those of you who are new here, you know what that means. If not, ask in a break your colleagues. You have the chakra presentations there as well. This is something which we use in yoga, and I'm trying to teach this thing from a yogic perspective. End of parenthesis. Those of you who have not much Manipura will be shy. This method is a bold, fearless method. It doesn't have to be reckless or crazy, but it is a bold method. If you are afraid to climb with your feet on the back of somebody, you won't do it and the person won't be healed. You need to have a certain kind of Manipura strength to have the boldness to push things to the limit. I'm trying to find a vertebra, which are of course exactly like valley and hill, when you go vertically, that is. So I'm trying to find a vertebra, and then I'm poking on the vertebra and in the space between the vertebra, and on the vertebra and in the space between the vertebra. The spine is like a couple of centimeters gone to the left here. So with my mind, I always aim to go along this imaginary line of the spine. I'm going to start from here. It is useless to start lower than here. Here we have the sacrum, the lower lumbar area and the sacrum, and those require another method. So I'm starting from the lower vertebrae and I will go up till here. It's useless to go to the neck. That requires another method. When I was taught this, I was taught that there are 5 tendons which are going on each side of the head. 5 tendons which go, one of them going to the shoulder, one of them going lower, and so on. 5 of them. And these 5 tendons, they can be out of position. This is the famous story when you sleep, and you sleep in the wrong way, and you wake up in the morning and you are like this. And you can't move, and your neck is twisting it in one part, it's an agony. That usually would be a tendon having moved out of position. It's not really a vertebra. That's why this technique works on the vertebrae. It is excellent for spondylitis and things like this because it breaks the small deposits of calcium, and that makes a horrible noise, and that is very spectacular. But actually the effect is not in very profound in moving the vertebrae, because the movement is a twisting. So when you twist, you don't move them really. You don't press them forward, backward, sideways. It's just a twisting. So basically this is more like stretching, and it eliminates the calcium deposits, which is very good, breaks the little calcium deposits, and it stretches those 5 tendons. That is why, for example, it contributes to some headaches. People who have headaches on the side of the head, sometimes when you do this, suddenly the headache disappears. This can eliminate a headache instantaneously. Not all the headaches, though. There are headaches which come from here, there are headaches which come from here, which are not eliminated, and some of them from here. But most of the headaches in the back of the head and on the side, you have a very good chance of dealing with this. Actually, many people are tensed, irritable, have headaches and so on, because this area is becoming very ankylosed, very stiff. And then relieving it is one of the easy things. I remember the old Eleftherios called this movement twisting the head, which again, it may be in my native language, has a bit of a more rude meaning, like really twisting the head, screwing the head. And then he had another method which was called breaking the nerve. It's something, breaking a nerve. And then he had another method which was called pulling the forehead. And then many people were coming, and many were ankylosed here because of the sedentary lifestyles. And then they were all pissing in their pants when Eleftherios would point them to me and said, twist their head, break their nerve, and pull their forehead. And these guys were in for a trip, you know. Then they, oh boy, what is this guy going to do?